those of you who don't know me, and I am the middle school principal. Also, another role that I have, which is why I've been asked to introduce this session today, is I am the chairperson of our Wellbeing Committee here at school. And the Wellbeing Committee works with and helps sort of embed the idea of well-being into our school program with our students and our teachers and our community, and the importance of that attaching. So our school values are learning, well-being, community. Well-being is in the middle for a reason, because unless you have well-being, students who are content, students who feel cared for, who feel supported, who aren't stressed, unless you don't have that, no learning is going to take place. And we certainly won't have a nice community. So well-being links to both of them so importantly. And students, if they're stressed, if they're not happy, if they don't feel that their teacher cares about them, the learning quality doesn't happen as easily. Teachers, students can tell right away when a teacher isn't happy or a teacher's having an off day. And we can do the same. We can look around our classroom and see quite on it today. And so well-being is so important in that connection to learning, and obviously also connecting to making our community a much happier one. I'm using the term happiness because that's the theme of today. And I'm not going to speak anymore because we have an expert here, and Catherine Madre is going to introduce us.
Thanks, Carol. Good morning, everyone. Carol talked about well-being, and that's exactly the line of work that Nicola's in. She has a doctorate in clinical psychology, and she basically works with children, adolescents, and adults all to achieve better well-being.
Yeah.
On her website, she says, "My ultimate goal is to improve well-being and quality of life and give people the tools to get what you want out of life." And often that's happiness. So, Nicola, on the science of happiness. Welcome.
Thank you. It's really nice to come and meet you all and talk about something really positive. And so much of my day is talking about depression, anxiety, stress. So I love coming here and talking about something positive and uplifting and happy. And I'll start by telling you a little bit about myself before we move on to the workshop. So I'm a clinical psychologist, and I work here in my own practice and also with some doctors. I've also kicked in doing psychology with their English-speaking clients. So I've been here for 3.5 years now, and I come from the UK, where I worked as a psychologist in the NHS and also in private practice. And my expertise used to lie in children and adolescents, doing a lot with ADHD and autism and Asperger's. But now I work more with adults who are adjusting to coming and living here in Stavanger. So it's a really exciting job, and I get to meet some amazing people. And it's really great to come and meet you all today and to talk about the science of happiness. Today, it's not going to be me talking all the time. I will be talking, but I would love you to join in. That's where the fun will be. That's where we'll learn a lot about happiness and join in as a community, like we were talking about there in our well-being. Community and connection, that's actually one of the most important factors in happiness, and the science of it will come out as we go through the lecture. So ask questions, don't be scared to ask the stupid questions. That's what I asked and how I managed to make this lecture. So ask everything you're thinking about, share what we're talking about. And I'll be asking you to do a couple of interactive exercises. We'll be doing some mindfulness, and we'll be doing some gratitude exercises, two really important aspects of creating happiness. So we'll be doing something. This isn't going to be one of those workshops where you come away with a list of things to do. You're going to do this today, you're going to do this. And we're going to go away, and hopefully we'll be able to have this. Come in, welcome, just come and join us in that. So I guess first thing to say, for decades, mostly psychology focused on depression, anxiety, and kind of taking the nectar and working up to neutral. And now what's starting to happen is that psychology and the research of it is starting to change a little bit. We're looking not just about how to make ourselves at baseline, but we're looking about how to increase our happiness, increase our contentment, increase our well-being. Grab a seat. No, don't be sorry, no problem. Really enjoy happy here. So, we all want to be happier. And this is a really simple sentence, just 6 words long. And it's probably something that connects everybody here in this room. And in fact, every client of mine that comes along, ultimately their goal is they want to be happy. Something they all share in common undoubtedly. But what they usually do is they come into my office and they say, okay, I've moved here to Stavanger, maybe I need to get a new job. Maybe I need to have another baby. Maybe I need to find a new role or purpose. They kind of suggest these huge sweeping changes. And then my question then is always, what if we can find happiness in the life we already have? And what we're already experiencing in every moment that we have at the moment. So, to be motivated towards achieving happiness, it would be really helpful to be aware of the benefits of happiness. So happiness isn't just a benefit in itself, and the feeling good. It comes with a whole host of fringe benefits. Happier people are scientifically shown to be more sociable, more energetic, cooperative, they're better liked by people. They're happier in their marriages, and their marriages last longer. They earn more money. Their IQs tend to be a bit higher. So there's this whole host of other benefits that come with being happy, other than just feeling great. So the first little thing I want to do with you today is try and work out a little bit of a definition of happiness, because having done the research and looked at the papers, there's a lot of different opinions on what happiness is. So you should have a little form in your pack that has what is happiness to you? Your happiness. Is that what you This is something that science has absolutely agonized over for decades now. And I would really love to hear your own definitions of what happiness is and what makes you happy. So don't do it on your own, but work in your groups, in your tables, or on your chairs, and have a little chat with each other. What do you think happiness is and what makes you happy? And write it for me. But it's just great to see that you have so many ideas about what happiness is, what it might be. Would anybody like to share some of what came up in their group, some of what they decided happiness was or wasn't, or where it was found? Yeah, please.
We were talking about that happiness comes in small moments, basically. You have small, special moments in which you live in the moment. You don't think about what went wrong this morning. You don't worry about the future. It's a small, special moment. And we also talked about being overall content in life, which is also very nice. But it's not the same thing as happiness.
Yeah, I really like those ideas, and you're actually preempting me. One of the things we're going to do is a little bit of mindfulness, which is all about savoring the small moments, because I agree, I think that's a really important part of happiness. And then we're also getting this idea of contentment, so it's not just about this kind of feeling good, but it's this feeling satisfied in some way. Okay, great, thanks for sharing. Did anybody else come up with anything different? Please.
Yeah, the true happiness I feel is to connect with your own self, with your inner self.
Yes.
And that is a basic. And the rest, it rests on this principle.
Yes.
And this material happiness, it's based on you pleasing your sense organs. If your sense organs are pleased, then you feel a sense of happiness.
That's lovely. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so we have something there about happiness is connection.
Yes.
Maybe with yourself, but also maybe with others as well.
Yes.
And then there's something there about acceptance, about accepting us, our whole selves for who we are, not just the good parts of ourselves, and alienating the parts of ourselves that we don't like, but accepting ourselves as a whole. And from that comes happiness. That was really lovely. I'm grateful for you sharing that, and also just really glad to hear there's so many ideas around happiness. And there is no one true definition of happiness. This is where some of it gets a little bit more difficult when it comes to science, because when I was reading the papers, this is what I saw. These were some of the definitions of happiness that were around. And I'm sure I heard lots of these words actually when you were starting the discussion, so this was great. But these are just some of the definitions of happiness. And happiness is probably a state of mind, an emotion, feeling in some way. But we often kind of wrongly assume it's just this one thing, and it's not. It's more complex than that. It's a feeling of contentment, of joy, of worth, of acceptance. So it's more than just a smile or a feeling good about oneself. And we often mistake happiness for something. So we often think that happiness is feeling great all of the time, and it's not. It's a more balanced feeling than that. It's about being able to contend with the difficult issues and being resilient and being able to manage stress, as well as that exhilarating experience of feeling good. We also think happiness is a destination, that we'll get there tomorrow, at the weekend, or the next one holiday. It's not. Happiness is in all these little moments. It's about not getting there, but continually working towards achieving it. It's a bit like going to the gym. You can't just go once and expect to be fine. You have to go, you have to work at it. It's something you've got to recommit to every day. And that's something that happiness is definitely, it's not just one thing, it's not just a destination. And then I had to start thinking about what happiness means in terms of our culture, in terms of our society. And there's a world happiness ranking, which sounds like this lovely report where they do this kind of scientific research on the different countries in the world. And everybody's looking for their own country and finding out where Norway is. Yeah. And Norway always comes in the top 5. In fact, most of the Scandinavian countries. I wonder if anybody has any reflections on why the Scandinavian countries.
Because of the nature is vast.
I object. Yeah. Kind of being present, outdoors.
I think in Scandinavia there is a very good balance between work, and I think there is a very good feeling about being with each other, and everybody is there's a good support for families. When you have a child, you can bring them to Stavanger. If your child is ill, you can stay with your child.
Yeah.
So I think there's less stress about work, life.
So there's a good balance, and there's kind of reduced stress. Something about, I don't know, when I started to think
There's
about
money, of course.
Yes, there's money, and we're going to come on to that because that's something that always comes up in these workshops is happiness is somehow connected to money. And the more I have of it, the happier I will be. Yeah, we'll definitely come on to that. And there is money, because you do need money to be happy.
You have the social support system, sorry.
And the social support system, yeah. The Scandinavian countries are always up there, and it's not necessarily tracked with kind of gross domestic product, so the richness of a country. So in 2013, yeah, 2013, the United States was the country with the greatest gross domestic product, so it was one of the richest countries, but it was 17th on the list of happiness rankings. So happiness and money don't always go hand in hand. And that's something we'll talk a little bit about. So, now you're here, you want to know how to be happier, but I want to ask the question is, can you really train yourself to be happier? And I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit and tell you why science tells you no, we cannot train ourselves to be happier, we can simply define it. So the first thing is that happiness is kind of in our genes. It's biological, it's passed down, some of us just have happier genes. And so if you're sitting here today and asking, why is she happier than I am? 50% of that answer lies in your how happy your family was, how happy your parents were. Okay? And so that kind of tells me that what is the point in trying to train ourselves to be happy if 50% of the answer already lies in you? And if you won the genetic lottery, thank yourself. You're very lucky. But some of us aren't that lucky, and especially the clients that come to see me, they haven't won the genetic lottery. They are struggling. And so the next thing that makes me think that maybe training ourselves to be happier is a bit futile is that happiness is shown to be a trait. And what that means is it's in our personality. And anybody who's tried to change their husbands or their friends will know that personality is really tough to change. You can change it, but it's really difficult to change. So that's another reason why, what is the point in trying to change happiness? But 10% of happiness lies in our circumstance. So things like how good looking we are, how healthy we are, our home, our job, what things we have around us. 10% of our happiness is according to that. And people are often shocked and say, I thought it would be more, because I'm always looking for a new job, a new home, a new community. 10% of your happiness is determined by that. So what that leaves us with is 40% of happiness is determined by what you think, how you behave. How you think and behave are 4 times more important than your circumstance to determine your happiness. Isn't that shocking? So our workshop today is really about how do we harness that 40%? What can we do to improve that 40%? And that's what we're going to be working on. And again, you preempted me with money. Money always comes up. It's always the thing that creates happiness. It's like this linear relationship with people. The more money I have, the happier I'll be. The more money, the more happiness. And just think about the ways in which you create your life in order to earn money. People have, it's like commute longer. Commuting is one of the most stressful, or shown to be one of the most stressful activities. Yet we're willing to do it to increase our money. We're willing to change communities. Most of us have here. Most of us have changed countries. The different ways in which we are willing to arrange our lives to earn money. And whilst money is absolutely important, it's only important up to a point. And it's important up to a point of about $625,000 a year. And the reason is because that's what pulls us out of poverty. It's what meets our basic needs. So it gives us a home, it gives us food, it gives us clothes, it gives us education. Those kind of basic needs are all met within that. But above that, the relationship between money and happiness is linear. More money doesn't equal more happiness at that point. So it's just something to think about as we are looking to achieve potential, achieve promotions. What is it you're really looking to achieve with those kinds of things? However, money can buy happiness. We're just spending it wrongly. Typically when we get money and we're trying to increase happiness, we're going and buying shoes, we're going and buying handbags, we're maybe buying a new car, all those kinds of things. And yes, for a small moment they do make us feel happier. Yeah, but we are really good at adapting to our circumstances. And that's something called hedonic adaptation. And it's a really big mouthful, but you'll get the kind of meaning straight away. Basically, hedonic adaptation means we adapt to our circumstances really well, both positive and negative. So, for example, if you just take a moment to think about the first time you broke up with your partner, the very first big breakup in your life. At the time, it was probably really distressing, really heartbreaking. Now, you've moved on, and it probably doesn't have any bearing on your life anymore. You've got hedonic adaptation to thank for that. That's our body's way of balancing ourselves. It likes to be at a set point. It doesn't like to be too stressed. Because whether it's an upward stress or a downward stress, our body doesn't know the difference. It's just stress to it, and it likes to rebalance. It doesn't like to walk around all day feeling exhilarated because we just bought a new car. And equally, it doesn't like to feel down and stressed all day because of our hectic work schedule. It tries to redress the balance. And it works for positive as well as negative events. So for example, when you do buy that new car, it feels all shiny and great for a little while, and you feel great, and then the kind of novelty wears off. That's hedonic adaptation working. Setting you back to that point again. Change your living room around, looks great for 10 days, hedonic adaptation. Feels old again pretty quickly. You get used to your circumstances. Okay? And so that's what happens. So often when we buy things, material things, we adapt to it. We forget. The novelty wears off. And so And so, yeah, we adapt to these things, and then we no longer feel great about it anymore. So, in terms of how you spend your money, spend it on experiences. Okay? Don't buy things, buy experiences. Christmas is coming up, start thinking about that. That will increase your child's happiness and your happiness exponentially. Use it to connect with others. Go buy somebody a coffee, go buy somebody dinner. And that sounds like, these all sound like really simple ideas, but genuinely, the science tells me it will make you feel happier. Because not only are you giving, but you're starting to connect. And that is one of the most important aspects of happiness, social connectedness. So when I asked you to do your happiness task there, I asked you not to do it alone. And that wasn't just because I was thinking it would be nice, it was because I know that that's really important to happiness. Start to feel connected and build a relationship. I've put here 10 keys to happiness. I'm sorry, your printout seems to be a bit different to mine. These are, in terms of science and research, these are the ones that come up most often and most strongly. But we don't have time to do them all today. So I choose two, and they're my favorite, so you'll have to just look at that. So I chose appreciating, and then I also chose mindfulness. And I also chose them because they're kind of fun, something we can do together, and that you don't just have to listen to me drone on and talk about happiness and feel a bit sleepy walking out of here. So that's what we're going to be moving on to. Appreciating. Is everybody? Sorry, we'll just go without the computer for now, and we can catch up with it later. So appreciating is shown to be one of the things that's most strongly associated with happiness, but it is also one of the easiest things to train and to learn to do. So that's what I wanted to do today. And does anybody have an idea of what I mean when I say appreciating? What do you think when I say that?
Gratitude
Gratitude? Yeah, absolutely.
for the now. Every day acknowledging that there may be 10 bad, but that one good was worth it.
Appreciate people around you rather than finding things wrong with them.
Yes, absolutely. So I really like this idea that you come up with that about negativity, because we are completely wired for negativity. It's in our biology. We absolutely cannot help it, and that's exactly what we do. We often focus on the negative, and that's because we're biologically programmed that way. And the reason for that is because if you think about millions of years ago, the only part of our brain that we had really was this hind brain. This forebrain, the thinking brain, the language part, the emotion part, that's you. But this brain, this is the old brain. It comes with the emotions, the anger, the anxiety, the stress. And we were biologically programmed in those days to look out for danger, because danger was real, and it was in the forms of animals, and we needed to fight or flight or freeze. So our body needed to be prepared to survive biologically in that sense. And our brain was made to make the mistake that there was a bear in the bushes 1,000,000 times, but never to make the mistake that there wasn't a bear when there was, because then you're dead. So the people that survived were the people that were constantly checking for danger. They were constantly checking the next. Or you're at the supermarket and there was this one really annoying person that took ages in front of you, and then the cashier didn't help you with your bags, and you focus on that, rather than the kind of more enjoyable experience you perhaps had wandering around the supermarket. We're biologically programmed to do that. And that's part of what we were talking about earlier, the accepting all of us, even the parts that we find really difficult to contend with. And that is gratitude. Gratitude starts to focus on the positive. So it primes us to remember that there are many positive things that happen in our life. And scientifically speaking, there is approximately the same number of positive events as there are negative events. It's just easier to remember. So what we need to do is we need to overcome this negativity bias. We need to work hard, especially in the beginning, to start to notice the positive in our life more often. Okay? And that's all we're doing. And the kind of simple exercises that we're going to be doing today are things you need to continue to do over and over again. This isn't just a one-time thing. It's not just do this and you'll feel happier. This is working at overcoming that negativity bias that you experience and priming your brain for positivity. So that maybe in the next week, in the next month, it becomes easier to start to notice the positive things. And what's happening in terms of biology is when we're worrying and we're looking at negative things, kind of left hemisphere of our brain is much more active. And we're looking to swap that to make our right brain much more active. Okay? simple in terms of biology as well. The more that you practice these things, the more activated your right hemisphere will become more automatically. So instead of just automatically activating this part and thinking negativity, your brain starts to reprogram itself. It's a bit like a bit of plasticine. The more you work one part, more other parts change. So that's all we're going to do today. And the importance isn't in finding something to be grateful about, it's just that you remember to try to think about it. So it's not that you come up with something, it's just the practice of actually thinking about it. That's what starts to activate our other hemisphere. So it's one of the things that people often ask me is that I don't have anything to be grateful for. You know, my life is so rubbish, it's so crappy, I really can't think of anything. It's okay. It doesn't matter. As long as you do the practice of thinking about it. But I wanted to give you a little bit of inspiration today. We're going to do a couple of exercises about gratitude. But the first one, I wanted to inspire you. If you feel like you've got nothing to be grateful about, have a look at this.
And so I wish you that you will open your heart to all these blessings and let them flow through you. That everyone whom you will meet on this day will be blessed by you. Just by your eyes, by your smile, by your touch, just by your presence. Let the gratefulness overflow into blessing all around you. And then it will really be a good day.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
A powerful little movie about starting to be grateful perhaps for some of the things we really take for granted. Some of the everyday things. And as I said before, it's not about finding something. It's about the exercise, practicing that. Starting to think about what you're grateful for. And I brought something, this is an exercise I really love. I brought the stones with me today. And when you're leaving today, I would like you to take some stones from the jar. As many as you want. And keep them in your pocket. But I would like you to assign a meaning to each of the stones. So for example, maybe family, a warm cup of tea in the morning, whatever you find that you're grateful for. And keep them in your pocket. And then every time that you go in your pocket, you're reminded. Be grateful. You can start to practice that without being prompted to do it. So please feel free to take as many stones as you want. Enjoy them. I have a pen. Some people like to write on the stones. Please feel free to do that as well. But make it a little exercise for yourself, for your family. It's something that I did with my children. Was we went on a walk and we picked stones and we started to use them as little gratitude symbols. It was great and it was really fun. So not only did we do something that was connectedness, we did some exercise, and then we also did some gratitude, which is a really important skill to teach your kids. And another great way of doing gratitude with children and families is having a family gratitude jar, for example. And so we have one in our kitchen. And every time we notice something that we're grateful for, we write it down and we put it in the jar. And my kids are pretty young, so they can't write down, but they do draw pictures. So I help them, we draw the pictures, and then I maybe write on it what it is for, and then we put it away. And then usually around New Year's, we empty the jar and we look at all the things we've been grateful for a whole year. And it isn't about the things that we're grateful for, it's the process of reminding ourselves to be grateful for even the tiniest of moments, to readdressing the balance that our negative brain puts on this world, and to start searching more intentionally for the positive within our lives. So get creative about how you start to use these exercises. Let me just find myself again. The next thing I wanted to talk a little bit about was mindfulness. The how-to of appreciating. This is something for you just to take home, maybe pin up on your fridge. Remind yourself to do these things. And this is a really practical guide in terms of what to do and how to appreciate. But just gratitude can be so powerful in terms of not only changing the actual appearance of our brain, but then also making us feel happier. It's one of the most powerful things in terms of science, the graphic effect. So, in the last 10 minutes, I really want to focus on mindfulness. And this is something we touched on a little bit earlier when we were talking about where happiness lies, and it's in the smaller things. Somebody was kind enough to share with us. And I really couldn't agree more. And science is now beginning to tell us that mindfulness really does increase our happiness. And for those of you who may or may not be familiar with mindfulness, mindfulness is the really, essentially, very simple practice of just being more present in the moment. Sounds simple, but it's deceptively tricky. I just want to invite you right now, just to, for 1 minute, I will time it. Just try and be here now. Try not to get caught up in thoughts. Just try and be in the experience. And if you want, you can close your eyes just for this minute, and I'll tell you when the minute is up. And just see how many times your mind wanders from the present moment. Did your mind get caught up in thought and thinking rather than experience? Did anybody care to guess a percentage of the 60 seconds you were here or you were there?
98.
98, you were here or you were away?
I was away.
Yeah.
Amazing. Couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's really tough, right? Everybody finds that. You're not alone. I find that. So, this idea of being here now seems really simple, seems really easy. You know, what's easier to do in this moment, this ordinary moment? It's really tough because our brain thinks, it remembers, it goes to the past, thinks about the future, makes lists, it organizes its work. Again, we're biologically programmed to do that, and it leads to great things. We're creative, we plan our future, we develop goals, we're motivated to work towards them. But a lot of the time when we're caught up in thought, we're also caught up in negative thoughts. So we're feeling shameful about the past, and then we're ruminating on that. We're worried about what the future may hold, and so our worries get the better of us. This can lead to depression, anxiety, stress. And a lot of the time we're creating it ourselves. So the trick with mindfulness is to notice when our mind takes us into thinking and bring ourselves back to experience again. And I'm not saying that thinking is a bad thing. Of course it's not. It's just that sometimes the way we think about things is really unhelpful. And it can lead us to feel negative or embarrassed or shame or guilt, depressed, anxious, stressed, and so on. So by cultivating mindfulness, this idea of being present in the moment, we start to be able to control our thoughts in a little bit of a different way, have a different relationship with them. But as we just found out there, it's really difficult. So again, what we need to do is start a practice. We need to intentionally set ourselves the goal of practicing to focus more often and in a different way, and not just letting our mind wander wherever it wants. I liken the mind to like monkeys in a tree. You know, it starts off on this one branch and then it goes to the next and the next and the next, and before you know it, you are a million miles from the original thought that started you there. And that's a really common experience. So what mindfulness does is just starts to let you notice where your mind is going when it's going, and gives you the control to bring it back to the present moment if that's what you need to do in that moment. So it gives you a bit more control. And interestingly, the research said that about 47% of the time, we're not where we really are. So for about half of this lecture, most of you have been thinking about what you're going to do next, or where you're going to be, or what that to-do list is, or your laundry, or your shopping. And that's very normal. But mindfulness is more about cultivating a sense of control over the negative thinking styles. And as we all have already learned, we're primed to think negative. Okay? Does anybody have any experience of mindfulness here? Has anybody done classes or been to groups or read about it as everybody has often done? Yeah? I'd love to hear what your experiences are. How easy is it for you to cultivate that practice or to get involved?
I've done a lot of meditation in the past as well as yoga, and then I did one course, just a session here.
Yeah.
And it's very helpful.
Yeah.
It's very helpful. It's much easier to get back to the moment and not be bad.
Yeah.
looking at somebody else's handbag, whatever.
Envy, yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Does any, sorry, I'm not familiar with your name. What was your experience with mindfulness?
Well, it's all a matter of practice, really. So you need to bring yourself back all the time, and you do get better at it, you know, as long as you just keep it in mind.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more with you. We are kind of bombarded with articles and emails on mindfulness at the moment, but very few of us actually sit down to practice it. And it is all about practice, because the benefits only come with practice. Thinking about mindfulness does nothing for your focus and bringing yourself back. You actually have to do the practice. And that's why today I would really like to end on a mindfulness practice. I have lots of MP3 audios, so if anybody is interested in developing a home practice, come and see me. I'm really happy to share these for free. Just come talk to me. I'll give you what information and resources I have to help you develop these skills. And one of them that I'm going to use today is by a team called Headspace. I put Headspace on the resources list. I think Headspace are wonderful. And for you, for people who haven't visited the website, please don't visit it. It's a free app on mindfulness. You can download it on your phone, plug it in, you can do it on the airplane, on your commute, while you're cycling. It's a great free program for developing mindfulness skills and practicing bringing yourself back to the moment over and over and over again. And they do have programs that you can pay for as well, but you don't need to. You can just use the free app the whole time. You can use it many times as you want.
Sorry, what's this app?
It's called Headspace. It's on the resources list at the end.
Thank you.
But I just wanted to highlight it's a great resource available to everybody. Oh, is it not right on that? No. So it's just www.headspace.com. Perfect, yeah. But it's not there now. So it's in the here, the how-to, the action part of mindfulness. But for those of you who haven't found it, it's just www.headspace.com. And then, so we're going to use one of their happiness, mindfulness exercises. And some of you, for some of you, this will feel completely new and completely strange and weird and like I'm asking you to do something really odd. But just as much as you can, just try it out. See what you think. It'll ask you to close your eyes. You can do that if you want to, but if you don't feel comfortable doing that, that's okay. Just kind of have a soft focus in front of you and see how you go. So I'm just going to start it up, get comfortable, and start doing something.
Welcome to day one of happiness. Now this is a really simple and straightforward, easy to learn visualization technique, which I'll guide you through as we go. But as much as it's about learning the technique, it's also about understanding the supports for happiness. Obviously I'm not talking about the kind of happiness which necessarily leaves us with a smile on our face. It may be sometimes, but not always. It's more about an underlying sense of contentment, fulfillment, and satisfaction in life. And as long as those supports are there, both internally and externally, then we can expect to experience a lot more happiness in our life. And this particular technique will just help to support that. So just take a moment or two to get comfortable on the chair, eyes open, a nice soft focus with the eyes, aware of the space around you. And when you're ready, you can begin the exercise with some nice big deep breaths, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. next time, just gently closing the eyes. Sit back and maybe take a stretch. Obviously, over the next 10 days, we'll develop this exercise, we'll expand it, and also look to give it a little more feeling. It's quite normal with a new exercise, a new visualization, maybe for it to feel a little mechanical or contrived for some people. But you'll find after a few days that you really start to remind yourself of that underlying feeling of happiness, and it becomes a really enjoyable exercise. But as you go through the day today, just notice what things leave you with a genuine feeling of contentment. Just notice, and we'll pick that up again tomorrow. I'll see you back here then, for day 2.
So that was from a series of 10 days. I just appreciate it. But on that note, I just want to thank you all for your attention today. Take this feeling, take these exercises and practice them as much as you can over the next day and the next week. And see if at least find changes in how you feel, how your family feels. Thank you so much.
Thank you.